Well, hello there. Welcome back to Make It Stick. Jumping into Anki to begin with. We've got 2 flashcards due. What are the 9 sections and 9 subsections of Embrace Difficulties? How learning occurs, encoding, consolidation, retrieval. Extended learning, updating retrieval queues. Easier isn't better, how effort helps. Creating mental models, reconsolidating memories, improving versatility, broadening mastery, priming the mind for learning. Oh my gosh. Promoting something learning. Promoting big picture learning, no. Okay, starting again. Reconsolidating memories, creating mental models, broadening mastery, improving versatility, fostering conceptual learning, priming the mind for learning, other learning strategies that employ desirable difficulties, undesirable difficulties to take away, an example of generative learning. Dang it. Oh, it was right. Failure in the myth of errorless learning was the only one. All right. Other learning strategies that incorporate desirable difficulties. We missed one thing, so I'm going to say it again. We'll see it again tomorrow. Super close. What are the 6 sections of Chapter 6 Get Beyond Learning Styles? Active learning from the get-go, successful intelligence, structure building, rule versus example learning, the takeaway. What are we missing again? Active learning from the get-go, successful intelligence, something with a D, dude. Dynamic testing, damn it. What are the 6 sections of Chapter 6, Get Beyond Learning Styles? Active learning from the get-go, successful intelligence, dynamic testing, structure building, rule versus example learning, the takeaway. All right, so what did we read about yesterday? Well, Make It Stick, we would have probably finished the story about Bruce Hendry, which was a really remarkable ending, going from where he was at with his bond arbitrage to becoming essentially CEO of multiple companies while in this liquidation phase. Because he got to know the company and the assets so well and the order of the distribution of the payouts. And so he became very successful doing these kind of organizing these end of cycle, end of stage businesses, and even becoming CEO for multiple of them. Okay. Right. So I think we would have probably talked about more. Yes. Wrapping up the story about Hendry, we would have stated a few more of these differences in learning that matter. One that was discussed was taking responsibility for your learning. Education and learning. That should not be what I titled that YouTube video then. unless I'm thinking wrong. Another one would have been oh no, yeah. No, this stuff was talked about a lot earlier, I think. Ah, how you see yourself and your abilities is a big one. This shapes a lot of what we decide to learn, what we decide to try, where we persevere, what learning styles we use based on the narratives we tell ourselves, and what we believe about our abilities and abilities in general. They gave a lot of examples of people with dyslexia that basically were failing in school that ended up becoming very successful out of school, and as well as people who were not that great at their sport but ended up becoming great coaches or managers. So let's see what I'm missing here. All about learning differences between people that matter. And this is another one we see is how you see yourself and your abilities. Yeah. That's all we had for yesterday, really. Not many notes to be taken. So what I'm going to do is continue reading this section on active learning from the get-go. Massive section. We're still reading it, but I'll be back to recall in a bit. All right, guys. So what did we read about? What did I just read about and learn? All right, learning styles. Oh, before that, another learning difference that matters is reading ability and reading fluency, like the language fluency, reading ability. So the authors again touch on these undesirable difficulties. That is, things that make learning more difficult, that require more cognitive effort, yet do not lead to more learning. And one of those is basically poor reading fluency and ability. Like if you can't hold the strings of thought together on a sentence because you're having to decipher each word or sound, so you can't even connect to what the sentence means, that's an undesirable difficulty. And that is actually very characteristic of dyslexia, which simply dyslexia is in inhibition or harder time connecting sound or connecting letters and the sounds they make. Okay. Dyslexia can lead to they try to catch it early. We try to catch dyslexia early because the brain is still more malleable when you're young, and they try to use these tactics to improve that ability to connect sound and the letter and the sound it makes. But if untreated, dyslexia can easily lead to low self-esteem and antisocial behavior such as bullying, which can become even criminality if left untreated. So within inmates, there's a much higher level of dyslexia than regular citizens. Okay. However, a small group of people with dyslexia apparently have this very heightened creativity, heightened creative problem solving. Okay, heightened creative problem solving and heightened ability to decipher the big picture and to think in the big picture and outside of the box. And whether this is neurological or this is something that is developed out of necessity because of to compensate for their disability. Dyslexia to me does not sound more like a disability. It sounds more like a feature in a world without books and reading and words, which was the majority of human history. The ability to link letters and sounds or visual information and sounds wouldn't be that valuable, and it could actually be more valuable to have something else. Maybe not more, but in certain situations. Apparently, people with dyslexia have ability or better peripheral vision than the straight foci, whatever you call the center of vision. They have better peripheral vision. That would be probably more neurological. Okay. Then we get into the learning style discussion, which is really a huge theme of this chapter, Get Beyond Learning Styles. There's hundreds of different learning style theories. Tons of them have commercial backing, or maybe the majority of them have commercial interests, and a ton of them have contradicting ideas. Even among the ones that are most widely accepted, there's very little overlap in underlying patterns. And learning styles in general just aren't supported by science. Okay? The whole idea being that everybody has learned different learning styles, preferences, and that you need to cater to that person's preferred learning styles in order for them to learn best. These learning theories can also lead to corrosive, terrible thinking, oh, I'm a kinesthetic leader or learner, so I should never read any books or listen to anybody. That's not how I learn. That's a horrible thought to have. It would completely be a limiting belief, and that's the type of things that can happen with these. Oh, you're not reading's not that important, or you're not good at reading and learning, so you're actually a kinesthetic learner, or you're a visual learner. You shouldn't be listening to other people. You're not going to learn that way. It's a lot of baloney with commercial backing. Okay, that's now on to page 145. I mean, sometimes I think maybe I had dyslexia or have dyslexia. I love to think in big picture. I've always been a slow reader. Maybe that's what's forced me to create such a robust learning system like this, but it's super methodical, where we're 35, 40 hours and 30 to 35 hours into reading a regular book, and we're a little over halfway done. That's not normal. But after I've just read so much, I think I've really just gotten better at reading. I mean, it took me probably 9 months to read the Harry Potter series. That was a long time, a lot of reading. But I've read 50 books, nonfiction books. I've read Harry Potter now. I've read a couple, probably 10, 20 fiction books outside of school. I'm reading The Lord of the Rings right now. So my reading fluency and abilities have definitely gotten better as I've read more. So that's something I love to continue to develop and get better at, is reading fluency, vocabulary. That's it for today. Talk to you guys later. See ya.